Welcome to the Couch Scouts podcast. We provide league-winning analysis, advice, and tools to help you dominate your league and build a dynasty. Scout, draft, win. Here's your host, Matt Cooper.
Hello, and welcome to the Couch Scouts podcast, episode 70. I am not your host, Matt Cooper. Cooper is away on a trip for his work crew, but don't you guys worry with me. I've got my co-host, Matt Rupert.
How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Good. Been grinding away at my day job, and then on top of that, grinding away these prospects, which has been a ton of fun. Some interesting ones this week for sure.
Dude, it's been something. Getting together this rookie guide that we have coming out soon, man. It's been quite a task, but it's been fun diving into all these prospects. And I see actually I've got to make a change because I forgot to change my name, so it does say that I'm Matt Cooper. So I guess I'll just pretend to be Matt Cooper tonight.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
I mean, I'm all for it. Anyway, on this episode of tonight's podcast, we're going to be continuing our Inside the Prospect series, breaking down prospects to help you dominate your rookie drafts. Tonight, we're going to be discussing Matthew Golden, the wide receiver out of Texas. His measurements are 6 foot, 195. He's a junior. He started his career at Houston before transferring to Texas, where this year he had 58 receptions for 987 yards and 9 touchdowns. Really took over that wide receiver 1 spot after Isaiah Bond went down and flourished in that role. So I'm excited to dive into his film and see what Matthew Golden's really about, and to see if he's an asset that you need to own on your dynasty rosters. What do you say, Rupert? It's time to dive in?
Let's go.
So as we always do, the first thing that we normally talk about when it comes to wide receivers is their release and route running. How do they do versus press? How do they do at the stem of their routes, the twitchiness, all the things that are involved in their route running? And Rupert, what did you see for Matthew Golden when it came to his release and route running?
I actually thought he was really solid in this area. This is one of his stronger points as a prospect. Particularly, I feel like he excels in that short to intermediate range. I didn't see a ton, of the deep down the field kind of routes. So I ended up grading him at 7.5 for route running. I feel like if I would have seen more of the route tree for those deeper routes, I could have graded him a lot higher there. I thought he has really good hips and feet to really break off at the stem of his route. He really excelled at those like 10-yard curls, the comeback routes, things like where he can sink his hips, stop quickly. The cornerback keeps on going, and he's able to create about 3 yards of separation fairly easily that way. And I feel like he uses those quick feet as well with his release package. I thought it was solid. Nothing spectacular, but I feel like he can totally excel being on the outside and beating off press coverage.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. There's a guy that we're going to talk about on our bonus podcast. So, hint, if you're not subscribed to our bonus podcast, make sure you get subscribed on the site so you can hear our takes on this other guy that we're going to be discussing tonight. But I texted you today, Rupert. I was like, the route running between these two guys is so different. Like, it's so visible on the tape. Like, I really actually enjoyed Matthew Golden's route running. I gave him a 7.5 for release, 7.5 for route running. Thought he was really twitchy, especially when it came to the stem of his routes. Kind of noticed some of the things that you noticed, right? When he has the opportunity to sink his hips, to kind of plant his foot and stop on a dime and explode through his cuts, he did that really, really well. The slant routes, the curls, anything that was short to intermediate, over the middle of the field, he excelled in. There were several plays where he would just kind of give like a little nod and shoulder fake to the side and explode the other direction. And for not having a really advanced route tree, I think you mentioned this, it's not an advanced route tree. I thought for what he did, for the route tree that he has, he did it really, really well. I was a little concerned, to be honest with him, when it came to his gameplay, because I was like, when Isaiah Bond was on the field, right, he didn't really do much of anything. So I was like, how good is Matthew Golden really? Well, what I came to find out is like he's actually a pretty decent route runner. And I think that's going to be something that he profiles a lot. We're going to get to this later as a possession receiver, right? Somebody that can work the middle of the field, get those PPR targets. Like I think that's where he's going to excel at. Like I really enjoyed his release and route running.
Yeah, agreed.
So as we go on, the next thing that we always talk about is hands, contested catch, body control, catch radius, that sort of thing. And I guess I'll start here. What I really noticed about it, I thought for one, he had phenomenal hands, right? His ability to pluck the ball out of the air, to really have strong hands, especially at the catch point. Like I really enjoyed that. I gave him an 8 for his hands. I didn't think that translated very well into contested catch. I didn't really see him in many contested catch situations, but when I did, he did. This wasn't an area that he excelled in. I think partially part of it is I felt like he didn't extend well to the ball. Like his catch radius is not something that is a huge plus for him. I mean, I just gave him, I think, a 6.5 for that. Like it's just barely above average. I felt like he let the ball come into his body a lot instead of it really attacking the ball in air. So I didn't think his catch radius was that great, but I thought he really manipulated the sidelines well. Like his
Yeah.
body control, I gave him a 7.5. I felt like he got his feet down, he contorted his body, he manipulated his body really well on the sideline. So I know for me, it kind of felt like a mixed bag, right? Where he has solid hands, but that doesn't translate to contested catches. He has not so great a catch radius, but he he can contort his body and he has good body control along the perimeter. So kind of felt mixed. What did you notice about him in this area?
We could not be more in a lockstep on this. Our grades are exactly the same across the board there. Um, I saw the exact same thing, like strong hands, like plucking away from his body. The thing that just shows up on tape over and over again is Quinn Ewers just throwing off target passes.
Yeah.
And he's running across the middle. He has to turn all the way, do basically like a 360 to catch a ball way behind him, plucks it, and keeps on going. Diving back to the balls that are underthrown, everything like that. He's came down with everything. I had one drop that I charted in the 6 games I watched, and I watched it over and over again. He's like looking back into the sun on a slant route.
Yeah.
So I feel like I could blame it on that. I was so curious because I thought his hands were so good. I looked up his stats for the year, and apparently he had 4 drops on the year.
Yeah.
But in the 6 games I watched, it was just pretty much flawless. I saw the exact same thing. I don't think he has that big of a catch radius and leaping ability to, be a contested catch kind of monster with his strong hands. But then, like you said, I didn't see a lot of opportunities of that. And again, that to me kind of goes back to the quarterback play. He's not throwing up 50-50 balls. He's either throwing it to a guy that's wide open and missing so far that it's not a contested catch. It's a, spinning backwards, catching it away from the defender kind of play. So I really liked his body control.
And I don't know when
combination with his hands.
when you have Jadon Blue in the backfield who just blew up all over that tape that we
Yes,
were
he
watching.
really did.
Don't really have to play 50-50 ball, I feel like.
Absolutely.
So, we're absolutely in lockstep when it comes to that. Then we talked about catch radius and body control. We're going to take a break real quick because I want to tell you guys about our website. You heard me mention it earlier, the rookie guide that's coming out. Guys, we are hard at work on our rookie guide, ready to get version 1 released to you rather soon. So we're looking at, I got to remember what the exact date was because I'm blanking on it. March 7th is when we have it released. We're going to have a version 1 that's going to release with 35 prospects. Then we're going to have April 14th, a week and a half before the NFL draft. We're going to have version 2 that's going to have over 70 prospects, guys, that you can go in. And if you don't have the time to watch all of the prospects, all of the film that you need to be confident in your rookie drafts, you can be confident knowing that we've done that. And we've got this rookie guide for you. There'll be a post-draft version that gets released May 1st with landing spots, draft capital, all that stuff. It is your ultimate cheat sheet to dominating your rookie draft. There's no greater time now than to join our website. You get access to the extra podcasts that I mentioned, the rookie guide. You get one-on-one consultations with us, who Rupert just did one last night for a guy that went really well.
Yeah,
So
it was a lot of fun. Really good perk that
yeah.
I don't think a lot of other content creators are taking advantage of. And honestly, I don't know how long we can keep doing it as we scale, but for right now, Jump in there and take advantage.
Get in while you can, because I'm not sure when it's going to go away. But yeah, we pride ourselves, guys. Our bread and butter is rookie season, and we feel really confident in our ability to be able to help you go in and dominate your rookie draft. So you can get access if you want to do a monthly package. You can get access to all of this stuff for less than a cup of coffee a month. If you want to do an annual subscription, you can get a discount for that as well. So check out CouchScouts.com for all of the stuff that we offer. Well, let's get back into it. And the next thing, Rupert, that we always talk about is athleticism. And what comes with that is a lot of things, size, speed, lateral agility. How do they look with their long speed? How do they look in short area quickness? What does their yards after the catch look like? What did you see when it came to this?
Yeah, we kind of alluded to it when we talked about route running, but I thought he has really good short area quickness, good kind of initial burst to get out of cuts and things like that. Good initial burst with his release package, and that just kind of translates throughout. So when he does have yak opportunities, he's able to take advantage, use a little bit of that quickness to evade defenders. He's able to, turn around and burst away and defeat the angle of some defenders. He had a good feel for his yak, in my opinion. What I love to see is guys, when they have their back to the defender, like on a comeback route, they're able to catch the ball and kind of feel which side the defender's on and plant one foot, act like they're going inside, and then actually cut outside and able to kind of turn the corner. And I saw him do that on tape. So that was really good. But I think he's, I wouldn't say limited, but he's more like average when it comes to his long speed.
Yeah.
There's really nothing spectacular there. He's not going to be a home run hitter. It's probably why he wasn't utilized too much on deep routes. Also helps that they had Isaiah Bond on their team as well to kind of
they had that role. That was that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I thought he was really solid overall.
Yeah, no, I kind of we're almost in lockstep. I felt like we've been in lockstep most of this podcast on Matthew Golden, but I noticed some of the same things you noticed. I thought he did really well ball tracking, especially on deep throws over his shoulder and kind of bringing that ball in. Even though he didn't extend well to the ball, I felt like he tracked the ball well and could bring it in. Bring it in well. Again, I just gave him average grades, yards after the catch, game speed. This wasn't an area that blew me away by any stretch of the imagination. I thought he was good at it. I thought that he could really, as you said, have a feel for the zone, feel when a defender is on his back pocket and kind of spin out of it. His short area quickness, though, I mean, that's where he excels, right? I gave him a 7.5 for short area quickness, 7 for burst, especially at the stem of his routes. His ability to sink his hips, to explode another direction, just to have that guy in a vacuum, one-on-one, it's just you and that defender, and you can fire your feet and explode well the other direction. Like, he did that really, really well. So that was an area that really impressed me. One thing that we didn't really talk about that I want to get your opinion on, I don't know if you noticed this as well, but I felt like he would occasionally get bullied in routes sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying that he wasn't super tough. I just gave him an average grade for toughness rating. I felt like whenever more aggressive corners got handsy with him, it would throw him off sometimes, and he wouldn't be able to kind of stick in his route and get open. Was that an area that you saw as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I graded him out as a 5 in this area, so below kind of NFL average for perspective. I saw the same thing when he was in his routes. I feel like he could get bullied a little bit, but when it kind of came to yards after catch, I thought he was better with being physical in that area. But yeah, like he could get thrown off his route. To me, he's not going to be the best kind of red zone wide receiver, like where's tight spaces, corners are getting really physical with him. I saw it on tape multiple times when they were in the red zone. A guy would just wipe them out. Once he got his hands on him, it was kind of over.
I saw one play specifically, and I can't remember what game, like who they were playing against, but he was running a little drag across the field, and a corner came, a safety came down from the box and kind of met him at midfield and pushed him off his route, knocked him back like 3 yards, and like he never got back on his route. So that is an area of concern. It's not something I'm super concerned with. And again, this all is wrapped up into this like athleticism, right? He's not an overly impressive athlete, but I think he's good enough to be a great possession receiver at the next level. And this kind of gets into, our final thoughts when it comes to Matthew Golden. Rupert or Cooper hasn't gotten his grades in yet, but when you look at our all of our composite grades, which just pulls in all the weights of all of our grades that we've given him, Matthew Golden comes out at a 70.85, which puts him in the range for us as a flex option. It's the lower tier of flex option, but we still view him as a flex option. Do you feel comfortable with that? Is that kind of where you're taking him as?
Yeah, exactly. My notes, he has a place in the NFL. To me, he's like one of those really good finesse kind of possession receivers. So he's
Yeah,
going to get targets. He's not going to be a guy that's going for 1,500 yards every year, 8+ touchdowns. That's just not who he's going to be. But he's a guy that I can see getting 7, 8, 900 yards fairly consistently, just due to his route running and his solid hands. And so he may not have like the highest ceiling, but I feel like he has a decent floor. To me,
yeah,
he's like right in that same range as an Xavier Restrepo.
yeah,
My grades on them is just like 1.5 points apart. To me, they're quite similar players.
for sure. I think he would really benefit with a team that knows how to use that slot receiver well. Like the first team that comes to mind is like, I know Cooper Kupp is not returning to the Rams, right? Like if he goes to the
Hmm.
Rams and fills that Cooper Kupp slot, like that looks like the ideal, landing spot for him, right? A high power, a nicely powered offense that he could go and be a quarterback safety blanket. Not an overly crazy athlete, but just somebody that's reliable, that can be really twitchy in his routes and um, can do the little things well. Like I feel
Yeah,
like that's who he is, right? He just does the little things really well.
agreed.
So when you look at your rookie drafts, I've seen a lot of mock drafts that have him kind of going all over the place, right? There's some mock drafts that have him going early to mid second round. There's some mock drafts that have him going third round. And these are rookie mocks, by the way, Superflex rookie mocks. Where do you feel comfortable taking Matthew Golden in your rookie drafts?
Yeah. So I've seen a ton of hype just on Twitter X around Matthew Golden, and I've seen him going in that like beginning of the second round kind of range in some
Yeah.
mocks. And if that's like where he's going in rookie drafts, come May, I'm going to be totally out. Like there's just too many other highly rated running backs that I have graded to where I'm not going to get a single share if that's where he's going. If he is going mid, late third round, that's where like I'm totally going to be comfortable snatching him. Obviously, depending on landing spot, but that's kind of the range I more see him. To me, he's not a guy that's going to be changing your roster. He's just going to be a more of a depth piece, flex option when you have bye weeks, things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I look at it right now, and as of right now, there's still several wide receivers that we haven't graded yet. But as of right now, I've got 6 wide receivers above him. And I would feel confident saying this isn't necessarily a super deep wide receiver class. Like the bread and butter of this class is the running backs. Like the running backs are so deep. Just based on that alone, you got at least 3 tight ends that are going. I would argue, after definitely watching who I watched on who I watched this week, and Harold Fannin, who I just absolutely love. Like, there's 3 tight ends that should go in the first 2 rounds. Like, I'm right there with you. Like, he's not somebody that I'm going to have any shares of if he's going in the early second round. There's just too many guys, too many wide receivers, too many running backs, too many tight ends that I feel like are better values than he is right now. That's not saying he's a bad player, because I think he's a flex option. We think he's a good player, but for his price, like if he's going in the early second round, like I'm not going to be interested in him.
Yeah. Yeah. At that point in the draft, like I want an actual starter I can rely on week in and week out.
And I think you're going to have that because this class is
Exactly.
super deep.
Yes. Agreed.
Well, that about does us for our breakdown of Matthew Golden. A little shorter tonight, but we don't have Cooper, who has
And
pointed out
we're
so
in
many
complete
times.
lockstep the entire podcast. No arguing this week.
I think it's funny. I'm gonna text Cooper after this podcast because he always talks about his wavelength and how much he talks on the podcast. We were missing all of his wavelengths. Podcast was a little shorter, but we appreciate all of you. I mean, we got 35 that are watching live right now. We appreciate all of y'all that are listening, man. We love talking about this rookie season. It's our favorite time of the year. I do want to talk about our free Discord. If you're not a member of our Discord, it is hopping every single day. I think I saw that there was a new startup that we're filling in our Discord right now. So, I mean, people are talking all the time. Cooper is in the middle of a startup draft that people are just over analyzing picks, and we're in round 28. Like that place is absolutely popping. So if you're not in, we would love to get to know you. Just hang out. We're just a group of guys that enjoy watching football. So that'll be pinned in our show sheet. Make sure you get into that. It's completely free to join. We just want to hang out with you guys and get to know you. If you're listening, wherever you're listening, whether it's live or if you're listening tomorrow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen, make sure you leave us a rate and review. It just helps other people find us and helps other people hear our voices. So we would love to be able to connect with more people. So make sure you leave a 5-star review, leave a nice comment. If you have a bad comment, don't put that. No, just kidding. But anyway, we will see you guys when we are back next week. As a reminder, I was told I almost forgot about this, Rupert. You almost
did too.
You almost let me
did too.
forget. We started a new podcast, and that is the Couch GM. A good GM cannot do his job without a good scout, and a good scout cannot do his job without a good GM. There's two sides to the coin. So we have a Couch GM podcast that premieres every Friday, where we just break down the intricacies of the league, startup mock drafts, player values, all sorts of stuff. We are taking this week off, but you guys can find all the podcasts, the 2 that we've done so far, on our feed, and we will be back with that podcast next Friday. Well, we'll be back with this one on Tuesday, but until then, we will see you guys later.